I slid the memo across his desk, face down. Didn't look at him. Didn't wait. I was already at the door. Jacket already buttoned. I'd done that in the elevator, on the way up. The memo was a correction request, standard language. It referenced a projection error in the Q3 operational forecast, the one I submitted 3 weeks earlier. The one Daniel approved with 2 words, "Looks good." He replied in 11 minutes. I kept the timestamp. 11 minutes is not enough time to read a 7-page projection. It's barely enough time to open one. That was the first document I kept. The desk I inherited had a bottom drawer I never cleaned out. 2 lanyards, 2 people who had worked this floor before me. Both had built decks that went upstairs under someone else's name. I never moved the lanyards. I just started keeping the drawer unlocked. A reminder, not of them, of the machine. For 14 months, I worked, submitted, and said nothing. Every copy I made went into a folder in my bag. Nothing on the shared drive. Everything in sequence. Everything dated. The error itself took me 4 days to construct. I needed something that would survive a casual read, something a careful person would catch only if they were specifically looking for it. I took a growth rate from a different division's historical data, applied it to our baseline. The number it produced was plausible, close enough to right that no one would question it in a skim. I buried it in a footnote on slide 7. Not hidden. Footnotes are discoverable. That was the point. If someone looked, it was there. If no one looked, it traveled as fact. I saved every version of the file. The metadata showed my name on the draft history, but it also showed Daniel's name on the approval chain. That chain was the document that mattered. Nobody audits a deck the week before a quarterly review. They skim. They trust the summary. Daniel had written the summary, which meant he'd built language around numbers he had never actually looked at. The quarterly review was 11 days out. 3 days before it, I sent Daniel a short email. 3 sentences. Said the projection numbers looked strong. Said this one might travel well, upstairs. He replied in 4 minutes. "Good to hear. I'll make sure it lands." That was more than he'd said to me in 14 months. I read it once and closed the window. Owen stopped by my desk that week, leaned on the partition. His eyes went to Daniel's office, then came back to me. He did that twice in 40 seconds. I kept typing. Daniel had been waving through Owen's expense reports without questions for 3 years running. Every time Daniel passed Owen's desk, Owen straightened up slightly. He did it again that morning, right when Daniel walked through the floor. Owen never asked why that arrangement worked the way it did, which meant he had no idea what happened to people when it stopped. That's not loyalty. That's a man who never stress-tested anything. 11 days is a long time to do nothing. I didn't change my routine. Same hours, same output. The folder in my bag didn't move. I didn't open it once during those 11 days. On day 4, I checked the shared drive to confirm the deck was still filed under Daniel's name. It was. I logged out, went to lunch, came back, did not check again. On day 6, I printed Daniel's approval email and added it to the folder. Not because I needed it, because sequence matters. If you ever have to show someone a paper trail, the gaps are what they look for first. On day 8, Owen asked me if I thought the Q3 numbers were solid. I said I thought they were defensible. He nodded. That's a word people use when they're not sure but don't want to say so. Renata Cho had been VP of Operations for 6 years. Before that, she ran audits for a firm 3 buildings over. She didn't move into this company. She was brought in to find something specific. She found it. In her first 18 months, she restructured 2 departments. Not reorganized, restructured. The people who left didn't leave loudly. Their names just stopped appearing on distribution lists, then on rosters, then nowhere. I'd watched her stop a senior director mid-sentence to correct a decimal point. She didn't raise her voice. He sat back down. He didn't speak again for 6 minutes. Nobody in the room acknowledged it happened. When she finds something wrong, she doesn't perform. She closes the deck, writes one thing down. The meeting ends on schedule. 3 days later, something changes, and no one can point to exactly when she decided. People on other floors knew her by a specific habit. She carried a pen into every meeting. She never uncapped it in front of anyone. The cap came off after, when she was alone, writing something no one else saw. I needed Daniel in that room, not Owen presenting on his behalf, not Daniel skimming it the night before and cutting the difficult slides. I needed him standing there, owning it, while she sat across from him. Morning of the review, I sat at my desk and worked on a separate report. Owen came by, asked if I was nervous. I told him I wasn't presenting. He stood there a beat too long, then left. At 9:22, I walked to the water station near the corridor connecting to the 6th floor conference room. 90 seconds. I heard 2 voices I recognized, and one I didn't. I went back to my desk. At 10:08, a calendar alert came through. The review had been extended 30 minutes. That only happens when someone in that room is asking questions that require going back to the source. 30 minutes over is not a technical delay. It's not a scheduling conflict. It means someone in that room said something they had to then support with documentation they were not prepared to produce on the spot. I went back to the other report. At 11:41, Daniel walked past my desk. Jacket on, ID badge unclipped, held in his hand instead of clipped to his chest, where it lived every other day. I watched him go. People carry their badges in their hands instead of wearing them when they are not certain the badge still opens the same doors it opened that morning. It is a specific kind of not knowing. At 2:15, a calendar invite arrived from Renata's assistant. One-on-one, next Tuesday. Subject line blank. A blank subject line from that office is not an oversight. It is a choice. It means the topic is already decided. I clicked accept within 2 minutes. No draft saved. No delay on the read receipt. Same as everything else I had touched in this building for over a year. Nothing that read like a reaction. That evening, I pulled the documentation folder. Print copies only. Nothing on company servers, nothing in the cloud. The email thread, the 11-minute timestamp, the projection file with my name and the metadata, the signed correction memo. I put them in sequence. Didn't remove anything, didn't add anything. Closed the folder and put it in my bag. Then I made dinner, watched nothing in particular, and went to sleep at a reasonable hour. After the review, the conference room had one thing left on the table. A glass of water on Daniel's side, still full. He hadn't touched it. The cleaning crew found it at 12:15. I don't know exactly what she asked him. I know the review ran 32 minutes over, I know his answers required him to reference a document he had approved, but could not accurately describe from memory. Daniel's shared calendar went private 2 days later. Not restricted, private. Restricted means someone pulled your access. Private means someone above you is watching what you schedule before you schedule it. That distinction is not subtle. On Friday, Owen told me over lunch that Daniel had been asked to resubmit the Q3 forecast with full source documentation attached. I said that sounded like a standard audit request. He nodded and went back to eating. After lunch, Owen walked back toward his desk and straightened up as he passed Daniel's office. The office was empty. He did it anyway. Some habits run so deep, they stop requiring a reason. The Tuesday meeting with Renata ran 19 minutes. She asked me 3 questions about the projection methodology. She had the original file open in front of her. She didn't look at it while she asked. She looked at me. The first question was about the baseline data source. I named it exactly. The second was about the growth rate selection. I cited the quarter it came from and why it was applicable. She wrote something after each answer. The third question was different. She asked me when I had first identified the baseline discrepancy. I told her the date. She looked at the notepad, then back at me. Then she wrote something, longer than the first 2. She said the division would need stronger internal review processes going forward. She said it the way someone states a decision that was made before the meeting started. Then she stood. The meeting was over. She didn't extend her hand. I picked up my bag and walked out. The hallway was the same hallway it had been for 14 months. Same length, same light, same sound of the floor under my shoes. Nothing about it had changed. The promotion committee roster went up 6 weeks later. I didn't check it that morning. I had a 9 a.m. call. I took the call first. When I walked past the board, I didn't stop.